What's up, guys? So, this is going to be a very, very different video. And I've actually done this video before, but, I'm just going to get straight to it. This video is obviously about Dark Souls 3, right? There's going to be a sort of review about Dark Souls 3, I guess. It's more like I just want to talk about it, and how awesome it is, considering it's pretty much the first Souls game I've played and the first I've beaten. And also the only one I've beaten. I'm working on beating one, and I'm gonna work my way down, my journey down. I haven't even finished uploading every Dark Souls 3 video to my channel yet, but I wanted to get this out there because I ain't getting any views. So, yeah, I'm this is the way. So the game reviews are the way, or talking about games. Kind of like Wendigoon does, but he does like whatever. I'm just gonna talk about games, and we'll see what's up. We'll see how it goes down. I mean, it's not just the views. I also do want to do it. I love games. Obviously, I'm a freaking gaming channel. But yeah, so I'm gonna talk about Dark Souls 3, and I'm not. The editing isn't gonna be as good as Wendigoon. He's got all the time in the world, and I kind of want to just get my videos out. I'll put the effort in and whatnot. Like, you're gonna see a lot of Dark Souls 3 gameplay. I'll try to make them relevant to what I'm talking about. But I'm not gonna spend like weeks on a single video, right? Because if it doesn't perform, it's not helping me, right? So yeah, when I am able to do this full time, yeah, then I'll go crazy with it. For now though, I'm gonna do best I can, right? So anyways, I'm gonna talk about it now. All right, let's just get into it. So Dark Souls 3. I don't even need to explain to you what kind of game this is, but it's honestly, it's kind of like, I don't even know how to explain it myself, but I mean, it's basically just like a fantasy RPG, pretty much. But much different than most, because it's very, how to explain it? It's like, not really like, it's basically just like a game of trial and error. Like, death is pretty much constant, and it teaches you. Death is the tutorial, because every tutorial in Dark Souls is pretty much just telling you how to play, but the actual gameplay and combat itself, it don't really explain it at all, and it's something you kind of just get when playing. A lot of people talk about the whole, oh, I want easy, difficulty in Dark Souls and stuff like that, but it's like, not every game needs to be for everybody. That would certainly make it for everybody, but not every game needs to be for everybody, right? Not every, it would kind of make games stale and boring, right? If every game was made for everybody to play, and that's part of why we love Dark Souls, but also because it's kind of like art, or most skills in general, to be honest, where you can do it yourself. You just got to put the time and effort in. Right, that's pretty much the best way to explain it. That's pretty much what it's like, because that is what you have to do. With Dark Souls, when I originally played it, I stopped because I was so bad at it, bro. I was like, I'm not gonna play this again. This is terrible. But then I gave it another try, and I had a bit of fun, but I was still too terrible to really continue. And then I gave it my third try. This time playing with my brothers. Right, we played the the seamless co-op, and that was where it hit. Now, obviously, it's easier because I got my bros with me, but actually being able to, get through the game, and whatnot, made it a lot more fun. And yeah, you could say, oh, it's because it was easy, but not really, because even before that, I had fun, and I really liked it. The second time I played, I was just not good, so I basically stopped, But it is something that when you do play alone, you have the tools needed to make it easier for you, right? There's no easy difficulty, but there are ways to make it easier. And at the end of the day, pretty much anything that's difficult is just learning attack patterns of every enemy, pretty much. And once you know that, once you can predict them and everything, you're pretty much good to go. You're like the greatest player ever anyways, aside from those that play like Dark Souls like a banana or something like that. So yeah, simple as that. That's the best way to put it. It's a game that you die a lot and you learn, and then you get better, and then you win. Which is, you could say it's most games, but yeah, there's just something about Dark Souls that makes it different. I guess that's because it's not really hand-holdy, you know, which is, you know, it's, you could consider it a curse or a blessing, you know, it's either or, really. But yeah, it's one of those games that you just don't forget. And hey, I mean, it spawned waves and waves of new games from, you know, the new Soulsborne genre that it made. So yeah, I think that's pretty easy to see why everybody loves it. So yeah, I mean, that's what I'd say. If you're not gonna play it because it's difficult, then you're not playing it right. You know, like there's ways to do something. As crazy as it sounds, there's ways to enjoy something. So yeah. That was like an overall thing, though. I should really get into the meat, and you know, it was kind of the meat, but you know, the what is it? Something gritty, whatever. Not gritty, but you know. I guess I'll go with like, yeah. I mean, I kind of am gonna review it, but you know, we'll get to it. Like, that's hard to go, but like, damn, I'm not scripting this, obviously. I'll just say like the first thing to talk about, I guess, is the graphics. The graphics, they go hard. They still look good to this day, right? Even though obviously if it got like upgraded, it would look even way better, blah blah blah. But they still look good to this day. Even Dark Souls 1, because I played that recently. Even Dark Souls 1 looks pretty good. But yeah, Dark Souls 3 looks goddamn good. It hasn't really, you know, aged poorly or anything like that. It still has some really, really amazing like backgrounds and scenes and stuff. Like, it's crazy the type of stuff you see. Yeah, it's wild. It's one of the best things ever. Really, like the scenery in pretty much every Souls game, Soulsborne game, whatever, is insane. It's crazy. I don't know how to explain. I mean, maybe I'll show some examples or whatever, but yeah, it's wild. For the whatchamacallit, the music, I don't even know if I should even talk about the music. Like, that's a no-brainer. You hear mostly boss battle music from Dark Souls 3, the, you know, Vort music everywhere. Or I don't know if you hear it anymore, but you heard it a lot, you know, in memes and whatnot. Like, and just in general, pretty much every Soulsborne ever has like some amazing music. I think that's pretty obvious. Like, it's crazy. It's, you know, fantastic. It's out of this world, bro. I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome. There's really no other way to put it, really. Like, it's, if I put it any lower, I would be downplaying it severely. It is crazy. You know, up there with like Doom Eternal soundtrack, and even more other soundtracks. Kingdom Hearts goes hard. A lot of game music goes hard, but you know what I mean. It's up there with the classics, and well, it is a sort of a classic, to be honest, but it's up there. It's up there in terms of, you know, video game music, and music in general, to be honest. You know, because I don't like to just classify like that. Video game music can be crazy, you know, in a really, really awesome way. But yeah, it's wild. Now, and again, I'm going like this because it's sort of like a review, but because I don't really have the time to make like a, you know, telling you the entire thing kind of thing. So yeah. So I went from graphics to music. Story, I don't really know the story, guys. All I know is, you know, you kill the lords and you become the Elden Lord, or you bring back the Age of Darkness. Still pretty cool premise, pretty cool setup, but I don't know enough about the story, you know, and all the characters and the world, because really it's more like the world building. I don't know enough about that to really say much on it. All I know is it's definitely insane, for sure. Like, I know bits and pieces, and it's insane just how much lore they put into it. You know, how much thought they put into it, and then how much, you know, sometimes they just want to mess with you. Like that necklace that does nothing, and it's just fun. It's just, you know, literally a joke. That's something only they would do, bro. But yeah, I have nothing to say on the story, but the base story is pretty cool. Then there is the combat itself. I kind of already talked about the combat, but you know, I haven't tried playing wizard or freaking fire guy or whatever the hell, or healer. So all I can tell you is from somebody with basically just like as a knight, and then I just went into becoming like a glass cannon, pretty much, you know. Not really a lot of health, and I just did a crap ton of damage. I just put it all in strength or whatever, and that was pretty fun. There's really not much I can say about that. It was just fun You know, like there's like a meme where people are like, you know, all right, this time I'm gonna do this and this experiment, and then it's like you just end up you end up with like a hammer or a club at the end, just hitting enemies to death. And that's just true. That's just true. Come on, like it's fun. It's fun to just smack enemies down with like a big club or something. You know, like it doesn't get any better than that. It's too funny. It's too funny. You know, yeah, it's like I said, I can't really speak. Well, yeah, I can't really speak too much on that. I guess I could just say that fighting the regular enemies is fun, especially when they catch you off guard and then, you know, they obliterate you with like crazy ass combos. Sometimes it's a little annoying, but you know, that's part of the, you know, coolness with Dark Souls. But yeah, sometimes it does get a little crazy where they just kind of like, you know, like those regular dudes at the beginning, they kind of just hit you, you know, with like a couple of crazy freaking slashes and whatnot. Then there's like the whatchamacallit, the boss fights. Well, because there's all types of enemies. There's like, you know, regular enemies, mini boss types, you know, which are also still just regular enemies, but they're enemies that you don't see very much of, you know, kind of like those big tree monsters in the swamp. You know, those, you don't really see much of those, right? You don't see them as often as stuff like, I don't know, like, well, just certain weaker enemies. You know what I'm talking about if you played it. You know, maybe I'll show some, I don't know. But you don't really see much of those. But that makes sense, right? So, you know, there's so many boss type enemies. Some of them are annoying, some of them are okay, whatever. You know, like there's the knights. The knights are pretty cool to fight. Especially because they're really powerful and fast and strong. So when you feel really, really badass, you know. Then there's like the dudes with the crosses or whatever. Well, maybe it's not a cross, but they have, you know, they're like sort of tied to some big wooden stick. I think it is like a cross. And then there's like them, and then they can go like demon mode. Those guys are crazy, because they have that demon mode thing. And then I think that's pretty much all I can remember. Side boss. Well, not all I can remember. You know, there's like the crabs or the crustaceans or whatever. There's like, I wouldn't really consider like hollowed enemies or like invaders as mini bosses, but if you want to consider them that way, then they're pretty fun to fight for the most part, except that they usually invade you either in groups or with whatchamacallit, with like enemies or other enemies around, and they won't attack them. So you kind of just have to deal with the other enemies, and you got to deal with that guy. Pretty annoying, but it is what it is. You know, it's fun to fight them when it's just usually you and them. So yeah, which doesn't happen very often, if at all, to be honest. Yeah. Okay, well that sounds like it's never fun to fight them, but it's a little fun. They're not the best enemy, but it's a little fun. Then there's, let me see, off the top of my head, there is well, no, you know, I think I'll just move on for now. Yeah, I'll move on for now. And we'll just head to the whatchamacallit. Yeah, we'll head to pretty much the next best thing. The bosses themselves, all the boss fights, for the most part, can be really, really fun. But you know, there's a few bosses here and there. You know, off the top of my head, if I had to say, you know, the few bosses off the top of my head are like the Crystal Sage. Really not that. The Crystal Sage is really not that fun of a boss fight. The what's his name? The one guy who you have to like, he's Yorm the Giant. He's not really fun to fight because you just have to just get a sword and then you can pretty much like 3-4 shot him, whatever. It's really not fun to fight that guy. But you know, most of the bosses are pretty fun for the most part. There's definitely a few I'm missing. There's a lot of bosses, even some side bosses. So yeah, there's like a few I'm missing, but you know, for the most part, I really, really enjoy that aspect. I mean, that's pretty much one of the best parts of Dark Souls, with some of the crazy boss fights, especially like I mentioned before, with the music, and the game still looks good, and the combat flowing. It's good, and I definitely can't wait till I get Elden Ring. I don't have it, broke boy, you know, but I can't wait till I get it. That's gonna be crazy. Well, actually, I do have it, but only on console. But I'm not playing console anymore. So yeah, and I can't really record on console. So that's just how it is. But yeah, so I got that done. Then yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much all I can say for this game. But it's fire, man. I mean, you know, because it's been a bit since I beat it. I really can't get everything um out of my head. I mean, because especially, I mean, I guess I could just mention, you know, I kind of mentioned it with the story, but the world is fascinating. There's a lot of very interesting places in it, and really interesting things you can do, like or places you go. Like I forgot what it was, but there's like that one place where you go to the beginning of the game, but in a different timeline or something like that. I don't remember, but like you go there again, and then it's Udex Gundyr or Ludex Gun. I think it's probably Udex Gundyr. But you fight him, and you know, again, but this time he's like, I don't know, stronger, I guess. Yeah, because it's like near the end of the game where you fight him. And then there's the other place where you need to do like a specific pose, and then you'll like get taken to this place where you gotta, at the end of it, fight like a wyvern or dragon. I think it's like a wyvern. No, I think it's like a dragon. I don't remember, but you gotta fight like a wyvern or a dragon. Probably a wyvern. And it's really not a fight at all, to be honest. You kind of just have to like run around and then jump on it, and then you kill it. But I mean, it was still cool. Still cool experience, even though the guys around that place were assholes. I hated those guys. I hated them so much, man. They could take too many hits. But you know, also part of that was because I was playing with my bros. A lot of you know, you got to remember my perspective of doing this with two other homies, pretty much. To be fair, the mod that we were using does beef up the enemies, though, so it's not that easy. In fact, you know, it really wasn't easy. I guess they kind of balanced it out because every enemy had like two, maybe 4 times the health. I don't know, because there was 3 of us, depending on, yeah. So they kind of balanced it out. So that made it so that I couldn't one-shot most enemies, but if they left, I definitely would have been a beast. But yeah, they kind of did away with that. So that makes a lot of sense. And I think that's pretty much all I can say off the top of my head. Like I said, I didn't script this and whatnot. This is just off the dome. But I don't really have the time to do that, pretty much. So for now, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, and I might even put it throughout the video, I don't know. But if you did, then please, you know, if you really enjoyed it, like, comment, subscribe, especially subscribe. Well, I mean, like the video, really. Actually, I mean, subscribe if you want to see more, if you want to stay around, give me, you know, suggestions on games to play, to review, whatnot, or even videos to react to. I don't know if I'll do it on this channel. I might make another channel to react to or something, because you know how YouTube is. If you do one type of content and then you do another on the same channel, it's wonky. But yeah, so, you know, like, comment, subscribe, especially like, because that helps the channel a lot. And then also notification bell if you want to see more, because otherwise you're not going to be able to see the videos when they come out. So yeah, hit that notification, because you know how it is. If you just subscribe, it's like you'll see the notification rarely and never if you don't watch their content anymore. But you'll always see it if, you know, it's like put on fully. So yeah, I hope you, yeah, well, I already said that, but I do hope you guys enjoyed. And if you did, then yeah, do all that good stuff, and then see you next video. My next video will probably be like a Dead Island review or something. But yeah, Dead Island 2, because I beat it. Have a good day, and I'll see you later, man.